your style of play didn't fit Kentucky. You feel like now it does, and did you change or have they changed?
No, I changed because I knew that Kentucky's the closest thing to an NBA in college basketball, and I assumed that what happens here is what's going to happen in the NBA. So I couldn't come here and be below the ring all the time and not be blocking shots and not be rebounding and not be scoring pretty much. So I just had to learn sort of the hard way, not quite the hard way, but not the easiest way. That's how it is, and it took me that time to figure it out and get it done. So now that that's happened, it's going to be a very interesting season.
Isaac, as the guy who lived through it, what was that Texas A&M experience like, where you played so well?
I swear I'll never live that down. No, it was definitely a big learning moment for me. I'm really not like that at all, so I don't know where it kind of came from. It was just such a emotional experience. I got so excited and so emotional because it was, in terms of breakout game. So
you were the only guy on the trip who could get a rebound.
Right, and it was a very exciting moment. I got very excited, and my teammates were very excited also, and it was just a very weird spur of the moment decision that was obviously wrong, and I've definitely learned from that.
What was it like in the locker room?
Yeah, I was beside myself. I was very upset for the team. Not even for me, it was more so for the team. But everyone had my back, and they actually started getting mad at me because I kept apologizing, and they just kept saying, "Stop apologizing," because we wouldn't have been in that position if it wasn't for you during the whole game. So it was kind of a double-edged sword. I wanted to feel bad, but they were kind of not letting me. So
what did it mean to you when you started the next game and you got that huge ovation in Rupp?
It was a special moment. It just showed that the coaches, my team, the fans, everyone still had my back from that unfortunate experience.
So in Australia, does anybody say, "Hey, what happened in that A&M game"?
No one even knows about it. Again, I can't preach enough how much people don't know about basketball in Australia. Yeah.
So they don't know anything?
No, they wouldn't have known about that unless they're not avid fans, but very rarely.
One more. Bam, what's it like going against him? How's he playing?
He's playing really well. He surprises me every day. I think he's like the strongest person I've ever had to play against. So in that sense, I'm learning a lot on how to, kind of beat him with skill and agility and stuff like that. He's very fast too. So it's kind of he's just one of those people that you got to really think when he's guarding you, because he's kind of everywhere and he's very strong. So you can't move him. I can't use my size as an advantage because he's just as strong. So. But he's teaching me a lot. I think we're both teaching each other a lot because we're both so different in styles. And I mean, it's going to be great for me because bigs in the NBA are like that, and that's essentially where I want to be going. So it's great practice.
How have you had to adapt physically? What changes have you undertaken in order to get to the level that you are now?
Well, obviously I had to change my body in order to start anything. So I tried to really cut down in the off season. I tried to really cut down on my fat and start as kind of a blank canvas for me to add muscle and again lose more fat. But that was the first step for me, and then bringing my confidence back and being quicker and more athletic on the court. That was kind of step 2. So
how do you get to be quicker? Is
the
there
weight
a drill, or is it just the weight?
The weight had a lot to do with it, to be honest. And then just getting more comfortable with it, and conditioning has a lot to do with it also, to be able to consistently run up and down at a fast pace. So I don't think there's drills as such you can do to get faster, but I think just advice from people on how to pick up my feet and the style and just that sort of thing, that's where it really came from.
You said you're no longer 12.5 body fat. What is it now?
I know after the season I was 9,
okay.
So I assume it would have gone down from that over the summer. But it's definitely not 12.5 anymore.
Are there foods you stopped eating or foods you started eating?
I think not specifically. I just was very conscious of what I was putting in my body. I've always been very conscious of diet. It's just unfortunately in the US it's not always the easiest thing to do because let's be honest, it's not the most healthiest food here. Australia, we have very fresh, very quite healthy food. So coming over here was a bit of a shock for my body, and I think that's just where it all came from. But once I kind of got a handle on what I could and couldn't eat here, I think clearly it's
What were
helped.
the most shocking foods here when you came here that it was like,
Just everything's covered in cheese. Literally everything.
right?
Ty
Everything.
Langer said
I
something
like-
similar last season about that with the food in New Zealand, and I think he mentioned the U.S. food being plasticky. Or
Yeah,
like,
it's
what
fake.
Would you? That's fake.
Yeah.
Okay. So like, what would you eat in Australia that you can't really eat here?
Sorry. Things like burgers and stuff. Like our burgers are fresh. We have real bread, like real buns. Whereas here you get like buttered buns with like full of grease and cheese, and in that sense it's just like that different. Everything's a lot more oily here and processed. My mum likes to explain it as be careful because they have an extra layer of fat that we don't in our country, and that.
Only one?
Leave our
Just
waistline.
well, clearly I had a couple for me. No, I'm just kidding. But once I figured that out, I think we're good.
How do you feel about this year's team chemistry?
We're again a really close team. We were last year, and I think the coaches do a really good job of recruiting good character people, and we all get along. We all have a lot of fun together on and off the court, which is really important. So.
You said, if I heard you right, that basketball is not a big preoccupation in Australia. And that made me wonder, what do your family or friends think of Kentucky? Not the basketball program necessarily, but the state.
Yeah.
What do you think they assume about where you're at?
Right. Honestly, they're just not really informed. Like the only thing they know is what I tell them. So as of now, they think it's a crazy place full of screaming fans and what do we call Big Blue Nation? Pretty much, that's it. Which essentially Kentucky is. It's just full of Big Blue Nation. But I can tell them stories, but they will just never know unless they come over here. So.
Is it kind of